Thank you. Your insiders are Darren, Dreger, and Pierre LeBrun. And it says a great deal about where we are and what is valuable in the National Hockey League in the summer of 2021 that the reigning Vezina Trophy winner is traded for cap space. The superstars in this league right now are McDavid, McKinnon, and cap space. That's one aspect of the story, Dregs. I suppose the other is that Marc-André Fleury finds out on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, this was a very difficult and emotionally charged process involving General Manager Kelly McCrimmon of the Vegas Golden Knights, and obviously in this case, a very decorated and beloved player in Vegas in Marc-André Fleury. It's unfortunate that he found out through social media channels, but the reality is McCrimmon acknowledged in his media availability is there were multiple conversations leading up to this final decision to trade Marc-André Fleury to the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, it's up to the Chicago Blackhawks to convince Marc-André Fleury that he should continue his career in another city. As for the Vegas Golden Knights, they intend on using the cap space and relief and moving Marc-André Fleury to the Hawks in adding a backup goaltender now, of course, and a forward for the Vegas Golden Knights as well.
Well, and the Fleury trade was less than an hour old, and there was already media speculation that somehow maybe he would end up in Pittsburgh, where he probably would rather be, where his career began. And maybe part of that is that former GM Jim Rutherford last offseason nearly did reacquire Marc-André Fleury from Vegas before that deal fell through. But here's what I can tell you. Blackhawks GM Stan Bowman did not acquire Marc-André Fleury to flip him. He acquired him to play for the Chicago Blackhawks, so I don't see any merit in that idea at this point.
Much talk that he was disrespected, Marc-André Fleury, as he has been before. Gabriel Landeskog likely felt a little bit disrespected. In fact, he said so after the initial offers from Colorado. Is there a chance that that divide gets bridged before noon on Wednesday, Pierre?
Yeah, James, there is a chance. I'm not ready to say it's going to happen for sure. What I can say is that in the last 24 to 48 hours, the Avalanche and Landeskog's camp have been really hammering away, going back and forth on this. And they started with a pretty sizable gap in position, so there's a lot of ground to cover here. We know where Landeskog's heart is with the Avalanche, but there's a certain number that he can live with. So I think it's going to be a 7 or an 8 year deal if it gets done with Colorado. If not, can I just tell you that there are teams absolutely chomping at the bit to have a chance to sign the Avs captain. So this one might be go down to the wire.
Absolutely. And, you know, we need to check in with the top of class when you look at available defensemen among the free agent crop. And, of course, that is Dougie Hamilton. Talk about a nerve-grinding type of situation for Hamilton and his agent, J.P. Barry. I mean, the reality is they had to wait for the Seth Jones trade to go through, which, as we know, it did to the Chicago Blackhawks from Columbus, then the extension. So the market has really just been stimulated since that trade involving Seth Jones. So is it conceivable, likely that Hamilton is going to get maximum term and big dollars? Absolutely. He's deserving, but everybody involved is still very much grinding away.
Ryan Getzlaf has been a Duck his entire career, 1,100 plus games, almost 1,000 points, a Stanley Cup ring. But will the Regina native perhaps come back to Canada at the end of his career, Pierre?
Yeah, it is absolutely a possibility if he does indeed leave Anaheim. James, among the teams I'm told that would be potential fits for him, Edmonton Oilers, I think, would top the list. The Montreal Canadiens are in there. And also south of the border, Boston and Dallas would be other potential opportunities here for Ryan Getzlaf. So this would be a very emotional decision if he does leave Anaheim, but would be interesting for sure to see him either in Oilers uniform or Montreal.
Yeah, speaking of the Edmonton Oilers, guys, how about an update on Darnell Nurse? Obviously, the Oilers can now engage with Darnell Nurse. He is a top priority to get extended, but this one may not be a slam dunk. It'll get done. I don't think Oiler fans need to worry. But Darnell Nurse would prefer a 4-year contract extension. He has 1 year remaining on his existing deal. So really it translates into 5 years. But appreciably, understandably, Kenny Holland and the Edmonton Oilers would like to go longer than a 4-year extension. So some work to get done.
Well, let's go for a little tour around the goalie carousel, if we may here, Dregs. I'll probably run out of time. Darcy Kuemper trade talks have intensified. You know, ideally, if you're Arizona, you want to move a guy who's signed for an asset before free agency opens because some of the opportunities will go out the window Colorado, Edmonton, Toronto, Carolina, and Philadelphia among the teams that have been in touch with Arizona. In the meantime, Freddie Anderson has not received a contract offer at this juncture, at this hour, from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Looks like he's headed to market. Two of the teams that have interest in Anderson, depending on other things, Colorado, depending on what happens with Philip Grubauer, Carolina, which I mentioned last night. Yaroslav Halak, I believe, is near the top of the list for the Vancouver Canucks to replace Braden Holtby as a backup. Jonathan Bernier hasn't been able to find a deal with Carolina. I think he's going to market. Watch out for New Jersey in his case. Grubauer still in talks with Colorado. That's going to go right down to the wire. We'll see if they can bridge the gap on that one. Peter Mrazek, Martin Jones, both other options for the Toronto Maple Leafs. On it goes. The goalie carousel, we'll find out Wednesday.
Yeah, you are out of time, Pierre, but we have 7 hours tomorrow.